The Black Knife is one of the most recognizable weapons in Elden Ring. It has a dark and wicked design, and plays an essential part in the game's lore. The finesse-filled Ash of War pins it as a unique weapon among daggers, look and play-wise. The Black Knife is obtainable as soon as you step into Altus Plateau. Just kill the Black Knife right outside the Sainted Hero's grave, and she'll drop the weapon directly into your inventory upon defeat. Since the weapon is a dagger, its range is poor, but its attack speed is unrivaled. You can fit an R1 into many more attack windows than usual. The R2, in turn, is also very fast. Daggers may have the worst poise damage, but I found myself breaking poise more often than usual. If we have more attack windows, the boss has less opportunities to regain poise. Poise will only regenerate after a certain time has elapsed, with no poise damage taken. Keep up the pressure and even Radagon will be open for a critical hit. The Ash of War, Blade of Death, is where most of your damage will be coming from. The Ash has an extended jump animation that leaves you invulnerable to damage on the ground. In the air, you shoot out a holy projectile of destined death. On top of the holy damage, this projectile does percentage health damage. The destined death will tick away health progressively, and debuff the enemy for 10% of their max health. This means the more health the enemy has, the more damage the Ash will do. On my New Game Plus 7 run, this was quite helpful. Blade of Death has a great deal of hyper armor along with its great damage. Initially, my build had 40 vigor and 80 faith because I thought I would be staying at range more often. But because of this hyper armor, I set both vigor and faith to 60, so I could take a hit or two in that Ash of War animation. I used Golden Vow and the Black Blade incantation with the Erd Tree Seal to make good use of my high faith investment. Golden Vow gives you more damage and damage negation, and the Black Blade health debuff stacks on top of Blade of Death. Alternatively, I had the Blade of Calling in my offhand and swapped in Millicent's Prosthesis and the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia for a fight or two to test out a dual dagger moveset again. I have a whole build video dedicated to a build like this I made last year. My only gripe with the Ash of War focused playstyle is that it encourages you to spam the Ash of War. Blade of Death is the best to use in most scenarios, and that can make the gameplay loop kinda stale. That's why I think I'll be using this weapon as a switch-in next time I make a melee faith build. Having Blade of Death as a backup ranged option would be invaluable. Before we get into the talismans, physique, and stats of the build, be sure to drop a like and subscription if you enjoy the build videos. My goal is to reach 2,500 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are just about on track to reach it. For our main build, we ran with the Sacred Scorpion Charm, since our Ash projectile is holy damage, Shard of Alexander again for the Ash of War, Dragon Crest Great Shield for more damage negation, and Green Turtle Talisman for more stamina regeneration. In my physique flask, I had the Holy Shroud and Crack tier to up my holy damage, and the Opaline Bubble tier to help tank a hit, especially in the Blade of Death animation. For our stats, we'll invest 60 in Vigor, 35 in Mind for plenty of FP, 30 in Endurance to light roll with the Noble Armor set and the 2 daggers, 15 Dex as that's the base stat for my starting class, and 60 Faith. The Black Knife is an iconic weapon with an Ash of War that is fun, stylish, and useful. If you want to wield Destined Death yourself, this is the easiest and most accessible way to do so.